Hello and welcome to India Career Center, the one stop podcast for students, professionals, parents, and guardians. In every episode, we will try to deal with a current topic that needs expert advice related to career guidance, and career mentoring. Please welcome your host, Dr. S.P. Mishra, to the show. And happy listening.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another topic on India Career Center. Today, we are going to talk about the role of Swabhav and Swadharma in choosing the right kind of career. And to talk more about it, we have a guest who has already been on our shows many times, Mr. Naveen Badrinarayan, who joins us from Pune. Sir, thank you so much to give time for this topic. So, welcome once again, and we will keep it very straightforward to the topic, and hopefully some good insights comes out of this conversation and help the parents as well as the students to take up the right kind of career.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mishra. I mean, it's an honor to be in this show, and I think it's a very favorite topic of mine, and therefore I am very excited and honored to be invited by you for this particular talk. And I hope that this conversation between us helps people, especially parents and teenagers who are venturing into the world of work and trying to prepare themselves to enter into careers. So I hope this program and this conversation helps them. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir. And to start the conversation, I think let us first understand the meaning of both these words, Swabhav and Swadharma. Of course, quite literally, I think they are basically Sanskrit words, both the words. So, if we can start from there, it will become easier for our audience to understand the concept.
Yeah, so I'd also like to keep it very simple, and we are not going to delve too much into the say spiritual aspects or the because it's not relevant. And as a mentor, I believe we have to be very practical in our approach to help the parents and students, especially when it comes to these trying moments of taking decisions for life and all that. So looking at Swabhava and Swadharma, and what I strongly believe is when we talk about Swabhava, the word is very clear. Swa is self and Bhava is expression. So it is self-expression. So it is about, how you are as a person. And in my terms, I would say that as a human being, you're a being. So you should learn to be natural the way you are. So just being natural is what I mean as Swabhava. It's like trying to understand somebody the way they are and how you are naturally. So you're not trying to put on a mask or you're not trying to adapt. So it is very important to understand that there is a uniqueness in each and every person, which is what we term it as Swabhava. And when it comes to Swadharma, it is nothing but the doing part of it, where one is the being part of it and second is the doing part of it. Swa, self doing. So like I have a nature, I behave in a particular manner, and I'm going to be interacting with the world in a particular manner. So whatever I do, and this interaction with the world or with people or with things around us is what is basically your occupation. So that is how we are talking about Swabhava. That is how I am and what I am going to be in the world of work. How am I going to behave? How am I going to interact? How am I going to occupy myself? And therefore, we talk about contribution. So it's a contribution to the world. So this is a simple way of understanding Swabhava and Swadharma in reference to the context of trying to align ourselves into careers.
Okay, so this was always the concept which was useful because in today's time, what is happening? I mean, I give an example of today morning. I got a call from one of my and the typical way of expressing is that okay, so the son has got 94%, so he gets into engineering. He does engineering from XYZ institution, and he will work for 3 4 years, and then he will do finance management. I said, if he has to get into finance management ultimately, why engineering in the first place? So, but this is something which parents mostly don't understand or don't want to accept it actually, because of the fact that they are doing what they are seeing, or they are doing what their lived experience is. But as career mentors and as one of the very renowned name in the career mentoring space, would you like to bring out the concept how it is relevant today and how we can correlate the challenge of choosing the right career right from the beginning? I mean, why take a detour if somebody's agenda or somebody's aim is to actually get into a particular line? Why take up something else in the beginning?
Absolutely. I think it's a very, very relevant question. And I'm happy that you asked this question because anyway, we are going to discuss this in very, very much in detail. And as a part of my organization, which is Jivan Pravas, and which means life journey. So what I believe is, and what we have been trying to tell as part of the main motto is that life is a journey. Life is not about, just achieving something and saying that I have reached here or right. It's not a destination. It's a journey and it has its roller coaster ride. Now, coming to a parent's concern, parents are, have good intentions. And, we are all parents. We understand what their intentions are. They want their children to be, doing something good for themselves, doing well in life. There's nothing wrong in that. But what is happening is what they don't understand and realize is that it is no longer the 70s and 80s and 90s, where the industrial revolution was the concern, where, the main thing of getting stable in life was to get a job. And to get a job, you had to get a degree and which unfortunately stemmed into becoming an engineer or becoming a doctor or becoming a chartered accountant, which kind of gave you stability and you got a job and you kind of got stable in life, which was the mindset of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But when we talk of today's day and age, and now I come to the relevance of Swabhava and Swadharma, as parents, don't we want our children to be happy in life? And,
Absolutely.
and the biggest relevance today, what is happening today is that all the children, if you look at colleges, if you look at the news that is being there, the kind of mental stresses that the youth is going through
Mm,
is crazy. And I think
absolutely.
it's a warning signal for parents that, just following the rat race or following the herd is not
Mm,
going to solve the purpose because ultimately we want our children to be happy in life,
exactly.
isn't it? That's the most important criteria. And if we do not take certain steps at the right time, now coming to that part, when do you start it off? Time is something that cannot be returned back. I mean, if you
Yes,
lose time, it is gone. So it is very important that we take cognizance of the fact that time gone is not going to come back. So the
absolutely.
earlier you understand this concept of aligning them in the right direction, it is better for the child. That means you do not wait for 10th standard and 12th standard results and then decide what they want to do in life. I would
Mm,
say 8th standard, 9th standard is the right time to start thinking about it seriously. Because a child is already an adult, by the time it is not our age. You just imagine when we were 8th standard, 9th standard, what did we know? But if we actually look at our children today, 8th standard, 9th standard children, they are much, much more aware than what we were at our times. So
I
we are
agree.
not dealing with some small bachus or kiddos. They are actually very, intelligent children. They know what is happening in the world. And it is important for us to give them a good, realistic awareness and exposure of what is happening in the world. Now, how do they do it? Now, that is where the relevance of Swabhava comes in, that every child is different. You cannot expect all children to become engineers or doctors or scientists or lawyers or academicians. Every child has got unique, ambitions, aspirations, talents, qualities, their own nature. So Swabhava is about a holistic expression of themselves the way they are. As parents, we sometimes, overlook the basic natural things that the children are already doing, because when we look at them at home, there are natural things that they do. Some child talks very well, some child acts very well, some child draws and paints very well, some child is very good at sports. Everybody has got some unique talent or the other. And
Yes.
these talents, what they do is somewhere related to how they are as people, as their
Mm,
expressions. And as they become adults, as they become a teenager, their personalities get formed, their nature gets formed. And if we are slightly aware about all these aspects as parents, we would be able to actually look at their natural inclinations, natural expressions, and understand their swabhav very well, so that we can then connect that swabhav to the right kind of direction, a broad based direction. A career, again, career is not about fixing them saying that you should become an engineer or you should become a doctor. That's not the way life is. And you and me know today that life is having multiple options. A person doesn't have to do only one thing in life. But yes, there has to be a broad canvas of a direction that a child has to take to ensure that they are able to excel in what they are doing. And excellence will only come when they are truly aligned to how they are as people. When they are not aligned to something and you're trying to force them into it, as a human being, it's a paradharma, according to the older concept. Paradharma is possible. It's not that it is not possible. Anybody can study hard and become a doctor or become an engineer, but that is not the point. The point is, are they aligned to it? Would they be happy in doing that work? Now, for that, they have to expose to that area. They have to actually know the realistic, work life in that area, which has to start early. So A, there has to be an understanding of the Swabhava. B, they have to be aware about the different types of dharmas that are available in the world. So that is how the relevance is so important in today's day and age, because they are over-informed. In earlier days, that information was not there. When you're having over-information in your mind, the child is bound to get confused. They do not know what to select. How do they take a selection? What is the process of making a selection? The process cannot be based on an external test or an external person telling them that you should do this or you should do that. It has to be driven from inside. Now, this facilitation of taking a decision from inside is the job of a mentor and the parent sitting together and working together to enable that the decisions are made in the right manner by the individual, by the child, and not by somebody from outside. So that is the relevance of using this Swabhava Swadharma in the right way, which is the skill that a mentor brings into the table. But along with the parents, it cannot be a decision which only a mentor and a child makes. It has to be done as a family, because the parents are the most important stakeholders in this whole decision making. So together, when we work and we are able to align the Swabhava of a person, understand the Swabhava, and then make them aware about the choices that they can make, give them a broad-based exposure to the areas of work which is aligned to their nature, and then they are facilitated to make the right decision. So that is the relevance of this whole concept of Swabhava Dharma in the current days and times. If I've answered your question.
Yeah, it makes sense. And in fact, what you said is right. In fact, if a child is taking a decision in a particular direction, obviously the future of work is something which nobody can predict right now. But if there is a broad canvas, as you rightly pointed out, is that there is a direction in which a professional career is chosen, and the child is aligned to that based on the Swabhav and Swadharma, as you mentioned, then there is a good possibility that the child will actually enjoy it for the next 40, 50 years, which is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, if happiness is not there for the person, then all the materialistic things are only temporary.
Yeah, and very, very important point here is that, we have to understand that we have to be open-minded as parents, because we cannot close our minds and say, the child is not safe in this. Because see, there are long assumptions that parents make, thinking of the olden days, that if somebody is in music or somebody is in, say, a good artist, means, that is not the safe approach. The safe approach is do engineering or do something and parallelly do this as a hobby, which is what most parents think about. But what they don't understand is that all these things which were hobbies earlier, today are corporate careers.
Absolutely.
They are corporate careers. It's a professional career. It's a 9 to 5 job that a person can do. Then they're getting heavily paid for it. So, for example, in a Disney or Hotstar or all these OTT channels, there are these artists who are actually working there as employees and they're getting paid for it. So, but there is a proper career path for it. There is an education for it. There is a way to go into those careers. So people have to understand and give value to these non-traditional, so to speak, careers, non-traditional from the perspective of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, because in the 90s and then the market opened up, and today the opportunities are huge in the market. So this awareness, parents also need to become aware. And we have to work together to make them understand that it is a very, very safe option to get into these options. Prepare yourself, build yourself up into, building credentials and qualifications and education in that direction. And you will see the children shining in those areas. So it is nothing to worry about. So that confidence they have to build in. And once as a mentor, we are able to build that confidence in parents. Most parents are open to taking this chance today, is what I have also experienced. But they need somebody to give them that awareness and exposure and help them to become more comfortable and confident about taking such decisions.
Absolutely. I think one more point which comes out is, whether it is parents of today or the children of today, all of us are actually constantly getting fed through social media and other channels, and we are constantly attracted to the signing objects.
Correct.
So-called signing objects,
Correct.
and careers are no different. I think
Correct.
today the most attractive signing objective is like a computer science background professional, or a financial wizard, and so on and so forth. And I think the children as well as parents both are making this mistake of getting attracted to a signing object, and in the process forgetting that what exactly is the core of this person and
Absolutely.
where he or she is actually going to do well. So what do you think? I mean, how do we
Yeah.
address this?
Yeah, so very valid point, and I'll give a very simple explanation for this. Number one, there's nothing wrong in running after shiny objects for a young child, because understand that this is a young generation, and the
Yeah,
young generation wants to be rich and wants to be famous. And I think
which
we
is
also
absolutely
support
fine.
that, because that aspiration is very important for
Very
a
important.
country to grow, for a family to grow, and we want our children to do well in life. So there's
Yes,
nothing wrong in dreaming big and having. So I call it the having concept. I want to have this, right? There's nothing wrong in that. But having said that, that you have already decided what you want to have. So we talk to children and they say, I want to have a big bungalow, luxury life, luxurious life. I want to have, the best of the cars and a lot of money. So there's nothing wrong in aiming big and having those aspirations in life. But is that the purpose? The concept of purpose has to be brought in somewhere. Unfortunately, in our education system, in our, entire scheme of things of deciding careers, nobody is talking about this word purpose properly. So when you ask
mm,
a child, why do you want to do any work? The first answer that comes is, I want to become rich. I want to make a lot
mm,
of money. I want to be famous. So they misconstrue the word purpose with the outcome of work. We talk about recognition, fame, money. It is an outcome of work.
yes,
Whatever work they are going to do, if they are excellent at it, and if they are actually very good at it, and the world is going to demand more out of them, definitely that outcome is going to be a lot of richness and a lot of fame and a lot of recognition. And they're going to achieve all the dreams that they have thought they are going to achieve. There's nothing wrong in it. Definitely they're going to achieve it. But how are they going to do it? There has to be a concept of purpose. And what is
yes,
this purpose? It is about the contribution. And when we talk about contribution, because any business exists because there is a need in the market, right?
yes,
As professionals, we know that if we are doing any business, there is a need. We are solving a problem. We are solving, adding value to somebody. There's a target audience, and we are adding value to the target audience. So if this is the concept of purpose, this should not get confused with outcome. You cannot be
mm,
running behind money and fame as a purpose. That is not a purpose, that's an outcome. So that's the first differentiator. The second is that once we have understood the swabhava, and you get into a swadharma which is aligned to your own nature, the probability of that person excelling in it while being very happy becomes very, very high. So that means you are killing two birds with a stone. That is, one is I'm very happy doing what I'm doing, and second is I'm going to excel in what I'm doing. So the productivity also goes up. When these
mm,
two factors are going to be very high, automatically the demand, or the person's demand, is going to increase in the world, and it is going to naturally lead to the probability of achieving all that they dreamed of is going to be very high. So that is how we have to look at when so we call it the being, doing, having concept. So instead of saying that I want to have this, therefore I will do this and become someone, you work the other way around. I am this, I am a person who is like this, I want to contribute in this area. So being is known, you are doing something in the world, and therefore you start having whatever you have dreamt of having. So the having comes in the olden term, they used to say, Bhagwan se prasad milta hai. So it is like a prasad which comes to you. And that prasad can be huge. So you take whatever comes to you, whatever you deserve as a prasad. But what is very important is you are aligned to your own nature. You are enjoying what you're doing on a daily basis. Your life journey is enjoyable. And you are contributing hugely to the world and improving things or adding value to whichever area you're working in. So this is the main aspect of when it comes to a career, is my take on it. And that's how we try to mentor people and help them in taking their decisions.
absolutely. I think what you said is right. The concept of a profession today is something which is, I mean, if you look at the young people of today who will get into a job, let's say in 7 to 8 years or 10 years time, probably they will continue to have a profession and they may not have a permanent job. I mean, concept of permanent jobs may not be there in few years' time, but concept of being in particular profession and being good at something and trying to solve a problem which you rightly mentioned is something which is more important to focus today.
Absolutely.
And if you continue to do something which you love to do, of course, there will be challenges. No life is going to be without any challenges. There will be a lot of challenges. But if we love to do something for rest of our lives, and in the process solve some problems for the world, obviously you get paid for it. And that's how the profession of future is has
Yeah,
to be
but
looked at.
a point here is that, sometimes we consider life to be linear. That
Yes,
means I decide a career and say, okay, I've decided to be in this direction and therefore I'll move. Look at all of us. I mean,
yes,
you are an engineer, I am an engineer, a mechanical engineer, went into the Navy, submarines, came out of it, got into mentoring, got into psychometrics. Today, I'm running my own company, doing something in the field of psychology. I mean, it's life is so uncertain that
yes,
as you age and as you grow, your ideas may change, your values may change. But what happens is your nature, whatever it is, you have to flow in the same direction. So
yes.
you have to be in touch with your own nature at every point in time. So it is not going to be a steady thing that, okay, I am like this, so I'm going to remain like this all my life.
Mm,
While, you will have a certain core nature, but there will be certain values that would keep changing as you grow in life because you're going to mature. And depending on those values, your directions could be maneuvering in different directions. Of course, when I say directions, it could be a maneuvering within a certain bandwidth. You're not going to go
correct.
completely opposite of that, but you have
Mm,
taken one direction, but within that direction, a lot of maneuvering is going to happen. And we have to
absolutely.
accept it. That is one point. The second point is, as you rightly brought out, obstacles. Now, this is a very important point because most youngsters, they are not used. In our days, we were used to seeing failures in our class. When we grew up in school, we have seen children failing in class, repeating classes in fourth, fifth standard, sixth standard, seventh standard, eighth standard. We have seen every class, we have seen failures. So failure was a normal terminology for us, right? So people failing was not something great. It's okay. Somebody repeating a class was okay. But today, it is not okay.
Not okay.
Today, it is not okay
Yes.
because nobody fails. And if you have failed, there is like a blasphemy happened. How can you fail? So what is
Mm,
happening is children have not seen failures and they have grown up without seeing failures. So the first failure they face is when they get into corporate life.
yes.
And for them, the failure is rejection. That means when a boss shouts at you or somebody calls you an idiot in front of everyone, or you have not achieved your whatever you're supposed to achieve and you're being shouted upon or you're being thrown out, that is their first failure. And what is happening is because of this lack of experience of handling failures in the young life, in the student life, they are not able to handle the stress in their corporate life. And therefore, failure management or resilience or adversity quotient is a very, very important aspect for today for our youth. So this is a second aspect that is very important when somebody is preparing themselves for world of work. They have to learn to accept rejection and failures. And that will only happen when they are given practical exposure. So practical exposure, apart from school and college, is very, very crucial and critical in today's day and age. That means we should not wait for them to finish college and then get into exposure to practical work. They should start getting exposed to practical work right at 9th standard, 10th standard levels, where they go and work with the companies or they go and work as an assistant or something, understand what is work life, face situations, go for adventure camps, do whatever. I mean, depending on the kind of person the person is, in those respective areas, they get exposure and they actually see reality. So that reality will help them shape themselves and become harder to become strong people when they come out of their education and be more ready for the world of work, is my take on that. So I think that's an input that I wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I think very relevant. I think basically what you're saying is expose yourselves to areas where which is not your comfort area. Probably you go out of your comfort zone and expose yourself so that there is a possibility to manage and handle obstacles, failures as you go along, so that you're prepared better.
Yeah,
And
but I would say, see,
that
what
could come
happens is
from,
this
yeah,
this
yeah,
comfort
go ahead.
area that you mentioned sometimes confuses people.
Mm,
Because what happens is for not being in the comfort area, they take a completely misaligned direction.
Oh, okay.
And that's dangerous. And
That's
that's
dangerous.
dangerous. For
Yeah.
example, a child is not interested in studies. There are those people who are very bol bachan types of children,
Hmm.
They love
Hmm.
to talk, they're gregarious, they enjoy, meeting people, and they're just not interested in studies.
Yeah.
And somebody, because of the peer pressure around and because of things around, they feel that I'll go out of my comfort zone and I'll get into a academic kind of a career. So that will become a complete disaster.
Absolutely.
So it is very important to understand that, even in the area of your alignment, it is you are going to get into a kind of a flow situation where you will go out of your comfort zone. Because
Right.
it's not, life is not a bed of roses, like you said.
Yes.
It is going to be tough. You're going to face, even in the area that you're good at, even if you're good at talking, you want to be an actor, you're going to face challenges. It's not going to be, they're
Yeah.
not going to accept you straight away. But how are you going to face those challenges, and how are you going to persist and persevere and work hard? All these things become important, but this has to start earlier. It cannot be at a stage of 10th and 12th, because moment a child reaches 10th or 12th, they get into panic mode, because
Hmm.
there is this panic of settling down, getting into a good college, and then the peer pressure. So earlier you take a direction, the more calm and composed you are, anxiety is not there, you are well prepared, you have already exposed to those areas, you have got certifications, you have worked in those areas. So you're much prepared by the time you reach 12th standard to actually, move into that area which you are interested in and which you are naturally inclined at. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Fantastic. I think quite well explained. So now I think it's time to dive into your deep dive, the book which you have recently published. So tell us briefly about this book. What was the thought process, why you wrote this book, and what exactly you're trying to address through this?
Thanks for that. And this book is something very close to my heart, because being a submariner and started off this journey of entrepreneurship and life mentoring services. And I call it life mentoring because it's not just career counseling that we do. It is more of a holistic life mentoring, where we are not only talking about career, we are also talking about the social capital building, the mental peace, physical health, and all that. So we call it a four quadrant approach. So in this book, what I've tried to do is, it is a book addressed to the parents of teenagers primarily, and to teenagers. So that's the target audience that I have focused on. And what I've tried to do is try to bring out this whole concept that we have been talking about for the last 20 minutes or so, in which we are talking about this whole concept of life mentoring, in this concept of being, doing, having, and explaining this in much detail. But while I have done that, I've also tried to open up this, just not a theoretical piece. It is also trying to get in some practical insights from people in the real world who are we are surrounded by. For example, I've taken people from around my connects from different areas of work, and I've taken non-traditional areas. So I have not
Mhm.
taken a corporate IT guy or a MBA or a doctor or a chartered accountant or a lawyer. I have taken people like somebody is into music. Okay, and he lived a life in music. He's 55 years old and has lived a beautiful life in the field of classical music, and still doing that and enjoying their life. So I've taken the examples of these kind of people. I've taken a radio jockey who came from a low background, but then managed to get into this field of radio jockey, and today he's a celebrity. I've taken an example of a cricketer he's been a youngster who was into cricket, and today he's a celebrity cricket communicator trainer. That
Mm.
means he coaches the Indian cricket team for facing the camera.
Mm.
Okay, so it's a very unique kind of a career. So I've taken such examples, and I've taken views from them, their personal inputs as to what they faced when they were in their ninth, 10th standard. How did they handle the challenges of their parents and their peer pressure, and what journey they went through, so that parents get an insight into their lives and they feel more comfortable about taking these kind of decisions. So, we are learning from the lives of others and say that there is a lot of possibilities in the world of work. You may not become a Dhirubhai Ambani or a Narayan Murthy, but you will still be happy doing what you're doing and still make a lot of money, get a lot of fame for yourself, and live life by your own terms. So this book is basically addressed to make parents comfortable and give them a viewpoint of understanding through others' lives, and through a process of our mentoring, how their children's lives and their lives can become more happy, fulfilling, and all round development happens. It is not just about taking a decision for career, but interestingly, understanding that physical health, mental health is equally connected for a good career. Because, if you are not physically healthy, if you are not mentally peaceful, if you are not having good relationships and bonding with your own family and friends and co-workers, your life cannot be happy. Happiness
Absolutely.
and well-being is a all-round thing. So that is the main aspect that is coming in this book, and focusing on it, and how these 8 individuals whom I have taken into the book are living a kind of a holistic all-round life, and they're enjoying what they're doing, and want to showcase that, and open up the minds of parents to these kind of options which are there, and accordingly ensure that your child and your family is also happy, and everybody lives happily, and that's the idea.
Fantastic. No, it's a lovely thought, and I'm sure a lot of listeners and viewers who are seeing this will be sharing the show notes details about this book, which is available on different platforms. So you can go ahead and buy this book and probably gift it to others as well, and get benefit out of this book. So I think with these words, we will come to the end of this conversation. I hope some of the good inputs which Mr. Badrinarayan has given us today about the Swabhav, Swadharma, and the related ideas uh, to 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 make a choice about your career and take life as a flow, not exactly a destination. It's a journey, as you mentioned rightly. So take it in that stride.
Yeah, I'll just like to mention a very simple thing, that the personality. I want to give an analogy here for everyone to understand. It's a very beautiful analogy that comes to my mind. It's like you look at the ocean, and then you have an iceberg. So a human being is like an iceberg, and every iceberg is different. That means the
Mm,
personality is like an iceberg. Okay, so
mm,
there is something above the water, there is something below the water. And it's very
correct.
important to understand both these, above the water and below the water. There's something that you express, and there's something deep within you. So
Correct.
understanding a personality is not just understanding what is above the water, it's also understanding what is driving you from within the water. And that's the iceberg. What is even more important is there is an ocean. So according to the
Mm,
scriptures, the ocean is the universal consciousness, and the journey of life is the melting of the iceberg into the ocean.
wow.
So this entire Jivan Pravas or life journey is the journey from an iceberg to the ocean, where you are actually contributing and you're working with your own nature. And as you progress in life, stage by stage by stage, slowly, slowly, the iceberg just melts and becomes the vast ocean. So potential lies in being with the ocean, where everything around you is one, you are one, everything is one, and you're contributing naturally, you're in harmony. But then there's a journey, and this journey is from the iceberg, the melting of the iceberg into the ocean. I think these are my closing words. Thank you so much for
Fantastic.
having me in this session. I really enjoyed talking about this topic, which is very close to my heart, and really, really honored to be there on this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. The iceberg example was fantastic. It actually gave me goosebumps as you were speaking about it. Thank you so much.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.